Field of 68 after dark. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tuesday evening edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. The first time this college basketball season that feels like college basketball is here. Michigan survives Wake Forest in overtime. Florida survives Florida State at home. We got a thriller between Texas Tech and the Illini, a game that I know our very own Mike LaTulip is fired up to talk about because he told me he was fired up to talk about it. We got Memphis and Ole Miss playing right now. We got Creighton and Gonzaga playing right now. BYU was down by 13 in the first half at home to Delaware, but we got to start with the greatest rivalry, the most intense rivalry in all of sports. Number 9 Louisville paid a visit to the Yum Center, and number 9 Kentucky paid a visit to the Yum Center to take on number 12 Louisville. And the Cards jumped all over them in the first half. Kentucky made a run. They didn't have enough left in the tank. Final score, 96-88. Mikel Brown, 29 points, 5 assists. Ryan Conwell had 24, 13 threes for the Cards, who for about the first 25 minutes of this game looked, Jeff Goodman, like they could run the Golden State Warriors off the court. What do you make of this win for the Cards?
I mean, Louisville's back, right? Like this, to me, was kind of the signature moment so far that Pat Kelsey needed in Louisville. And obviously, they were able to put together a team that, you know, they had kind of been overshadowed by Kentucky's $22 million and their depth. But what Louisville showed tonight was their payroll's pretty good too, but they put together a team that to me fits. They have elite shooting, we know that, but not just shooting. Like Ryan Conwell can get to the basket. He can play bully ball a little bit. Mikel Brown can get to the basket. He can pull up. He can make people better. And their front line was the thing that we kind of questioned, just because we didn't know what Sandro Frew was going to bring, the big German forward. But he was tremendous tonight. I mean, again, the floor spacing is phenomenal with this team. Now, they let him back in. They missed 7 of their last 8 free throws. That could have iced the game easy. But this was a signature moment for Pat Kelsey, for this program that they needed desperately after those 2 years of absolute putrid play under Kenny Payne.
You're just the language, just it's so flowers. The only time when you really have an expandable vocabulary, Goodman, is when you talk about the Kenny Payne era for Louisville. Mike, I want to
plenty of
adjectives,
man. Endless adjectives for Kenny Payne.
I know you do, Mike. We were talking about this a little bit off air, but I don't know. When Louisville is cooking and they have those 4 guards and they have those 4 shooters and you got a paint touch point guard that is as talented as Mikel Brown and you got a 5-man like Sandro Frew who can go up and get at the top of the square. I don't know how you stop this team when they do what they want to do offensively.
The thing that I love about November 11th, this time of the year, is when you see teams that already have an identity, and Louisville has an identity. And that's offensively for sure, but even defensively. I mean, if you think about it, they're not the bulkiest team, right? They're kind of thin in some areas, but they're freaking active. And that's what forces those turnovers. They're great on the ball. They pressure the ball. Jeff, you touched on it, but Frew I thought was tremendous tonight. And then you get Khalifa that comes off the bench and can be that kind of 5-out hub that all these guys can play off of and cut off of and make shots off of. It's just really impressive. I thought right from the jump, and we'll get to the Kentucky part of this because I thought there were just too many defensive scouting errors to win on the road. But that's what this Louisville offense does to you. And I'm sure we'll get into Brown as well, but what he allows these other guys to do, I think he allows Conwell to play his role. I think he allows McNeely to be more settled into a role that makes sense. That's everything. So their role allocations ahead of schedule, despite having new guys. I just love the makeup of this team. And I think, where do we stack up this rivalry? Do we think this is the best rivalry in college basketball? I tend to say yes, just because the nastiness. Like everybody probably opts for Duke UNC, but this rivalry, you felt it in that arena tonight. This rivalry has some nastiness, man.
Yeah, I think that this is the most intense rivalry that we have in college basketball. I would say that, I'm doing air quotes here, the best rivalry is probably Duke UNC, because they're in the same league and you have league titles that are going to be won or lost because they play each other, and you get them twice a year, sometimes 3 times, and they play in the ACC tournament. But it does not get more intense than these two universities.
I've been to both of those, Rob. I've been to both of those a lot. Like Kentucky, if I'm picking one that I want to go to when both teams are in the top like 10-ish, I'm picking Louisville, Kentucky every time because of hatred. Mm-hmm. Like, I love it. Yeah. I love it.
Doesn't it feel like Duke UNC is more of like a pageantry thing? Yeah. Like it's like there's like a certain air about it. But I feel like in that arena tonight, there's hostility more than there is pageantry.
You know what it is, Mike? You know what it is? Duke and North Carolina still respect each other at the end of the day, whereas Louisville and Kentucky do not respect each other at all, and they want the other. If you wear red, you want all blue wiped off the face of the earth. If you wear blue, you want all red wiped off the face of the earth, which is a pretty good analogy to some other things that are going on right now. But I digress. We were able to catch up with Mikel Brown here. So let's get into that interview with the star of the night, Mikel Brown, 29 points, 5 assists. And now let me welcome on to the Field of 68 After Dark, the star of Louisville's 96-88 win over those guys down the road. None other than Mikel Brown Jr., 29 points, 5 assists. You had 20 in the first half. You were ready to go in your first game against Kentucky, man. How's it feel?
Man, feels surreal. You know, I was trying to keep myself calm just because I know how intense this rivalry gets before the game. Came out, and we just stay steady and stay consistent and trust the process. And our biggest thing was, coming out first with that first punch, and that's what we did, and I'm glad we got the win.
What was the atmosphere like? I've been to a lot of those games, but I think this one was different for Louisville fans because of where the program was the last few years.
It was different. Honestly, like, my ears were ringing, when we got that first 3, and my ears were just ringing, and it was so loud I couldn't hear nothing. So, to be in that atmosphere, that's the type of atmospheres you want to be in at this level. Those are the type of games you want to play in if you want to be a high-level player. If you want to get to that next level, you got to get used to it. So, glad we got the win.
Well, what's it like when you guys are out there and the shots are falling like that and that building is rocking? And there was a stretch there in the first half where I was like, well, I'm pretty sure that these guys, if they played the Pistons right now, would find a way to be able to win.
It feels great just because we know how much work we put in day and day out, since we stepped foot on this campus, man. And I think the connectivity is going to get stronger as the season goes on. This is just the, 3rd game of the season. We just getting started, and I think we got a long, long ways to go.
You know what I think of you, but it feels like, Koa Pete got some play, Caleb Wilson. Obviously, we've been talking a lot about, AJ, Darren Peterson, and Cam Boozer. Do you feel like you needed this moment at all for you?
Man, I'm kind of, like I said, I was just getting comfortable. I'm getting comfortable with it now, to be at this stage. And like I said, I trust my work, and, I know how much work I put in day and day out. So, to be able to perform like that, that's the expectation every single game.
Well, hey, yeah, we know how much.
Your dad's still going to be upset at you because you only shot 3.
There's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of things I'm going to go. I'm going to go back to that film room, man, and go look at, go clean some things up. Obviously, we could get better from everything. But yeah, he's going to be on me. As always.
Hey, look, the best always find a way to be able to get better even when they go for 29-5. The guy I wanted to ask you about was Sananda Frew, right? 10.7 boards, the presence that he has, what he allows you to do with the way that he moves his feet. When you got the 4 shooters around a big guy that can defend like that and the lob threat, I don't know how you guard it for the other team. I don't know how you stop it.
Man, honestly, I've been waiting for that game for Sonny for a long time, just because I know the I don't want to say potential, but I know what he's capable of because I've seen it in practice day in and day out. Like, his toughness, his ability to catch the ball, catch tough passes. I don't make the most perfect passes every single time, but he still finds a way to catch it. So, he makes me look good. I throw a bad lob, he'll catch it and still dunk it. Like, that's I keep telling him every time, gets a good play, like, that's the dude I'm looking for every single possession down, like defensively and offensively. So to be able to see that, because people always say, like, our front court is iffy and so on and so forth. But like I said, I know what we're capable of, and I know what he's capable of. And man, he was big for us tonight. So,
Last one I got for you. How do you celebrate a win like this, Kel?
how do I celebrate it? I'll go back
Yes.
to that film room and go look what I can get better
Of
on.
course.
Oh,
You
man.
can wait. You can relax a little bit. I'm gonna tell your dad, like, you can for tonight, you can relax a little bit, enjoy this one. This is Louisville, Kentucky. All
It
right.
is.
So
It is.
can you finish with one thing, Cal? Can you finish with Louisville is back?
Louisville is back,
A
100%.
little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more
Louisville,
fun.
the University of Louisville is back.
Yeah, there you go. Listen, Mikel, it's great to see you, man. Congratulations on the win. Go enjoy it, because I know the city of Louisville is going to be losing its absolute mind for the next,
100%.
probably for the next month.
100%. 100%.
All right, Jeff, you kind of touched on it a little bit right there. Caleb Wilson, we talked about. Koa Pete, we've talked about. Obviously, AJ and Cam and Darren have been talked about ad nauseum at this point. Where does the Mikel Brown stand in that conversation for you?
I mean, right there. And that's the beauty of this freshman class, right? We're going to change every night. There's going to be somebody that we say we have to watch that night. That's the beauty of college basketball this year. This freshman class might have as much star power as any class we've seen in the last 10, 15 years. And Mikel Brown's special. I didn't know he'd put up these scoring numbers right away, like especially in a game like this. Because they have so many weapons, and that's the beauty of this Louisville team, effectively, is that, again, it could be a different guy every night. Tonight it was Mikel Brown and Ryan Comwell, and McNeely could be the guy next game. And you could see, again, Pryor coming on. Probably it's going to take him a little while, but they're a legitimate 10 deep. And I think, in a way, that might be better than what Kentucky is right now, Rob, because I think Kentucky might be too deep in a way.
Mike?
Yeah. No, just to add to Brown here for a second. What do you do defensively? Because it doesn't matter what the coverage is when he has the ball in his hands. Because if you trap him, if you put two on the ball, he's tall enough and a good enough a passer to see over the top and deliver on time on target. If you go under, which we saw Kentucky do multiple times tonight, he can bury a three on you. If you go over and you trail and you play drop coverage, he can attack your big. And just those are the guys that play in the NBA and are future potentially NBA All-Stars, because there's no way to stop them. You kind of got to hope. And I thought that's what took place at times tonight for Kentucky. But just to contextualize, I think it's important for this freshman class to understand. The 08 class was great, but understanding where this class stands among all these freshman classes, I think this is the most talented college basketball has ever been. Because if you think about it, think about the international influx. Think about all the guys that come back to school, like all the guys that played tonight. Yaxel Lenneberg would be playing in the NBA right now. Alex Condon would be playing in the NBA right now. Milos Uzan, Tahad Pettiford, all of them would likely be gone if not for NIL and the ability to come back. So I don't think teams are as good because guys don't stay in the system 2-3 years, but the talent is as good as it's ever been. So for this freshman class to stick out the way they've stuck out this early in the season, I think is absolutely insane.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Just to kind of wrap it up on Louisville, I think that what we saw out of them when they got going in the first half was the most impressive first half I've seen a team play, considering the competition and considering the moment yet this season. One thing I'm a little worried about, are they going to be able to sustain that level of energy throughout an entire game and an entire season? And I think that so much of what Louisville does kind of relies on being able to play with that level of energy, like the way they get up and down the floor, the intensity of what they do offensively, frankly, the intensity of what they do on the offensive end. Like they're running and getting out in transition off of makes. So being able to make sure that that level of energy is there throughout an entire 40 minutes matters. The missed free throws happen for a reason, right? But with a Pat Kelsey on the sideline, I think that's something that will be able to figure itself out. Look, they're the ranked 12th team in the country right now. That is a that's a team that can win a national championship. I want to switch this and pivot it and talk a little bit about Kentucky. Mike, you mentioned it earlier. There were some mistakes they made defensively. They looked rattled at the start, which is like completely understandable considering the absolute hornet's nest that they walked into. Should Kentucky fans be worried, or do you take away that comeback in the second half, that run, and say, you know what, we just dug a little bit too deep of a hole against a national title contender. We'll get this thing figured out.
No, I don't think there should be any worry or panic. One, we're 3 games into the season. And 2, I just thought just the amount of defensive miscues for Kentucky tonight to get this game within 8 there at the end and to kind of have a shot 88-84 with Jalen Lowe driving downhill. But you just like you're up against it enough against Louisville with their pace, and their pace forces you into mismatches because of transition and secondary transition to start off the game. And look, like missed shots happen on the road, that all happens. But what can't happen is just the scouting report errors. I mean, the first bucket for Louisville is a 3 from Ryan Conwell because Oweh's guarding Conwell through on a short roll. Garrison's there on the short roll, and Oweh over helps to swipe in, and Frew just catches it and kicks it to Conwell for a 3. Like you have to stay home there. And then Aberdeen and Garrison mess up the ball screen on Brown. He hits a 3. Aberdeen ends up going under. I don't know if they were trying to switch, but even if you were trying to switch, you got to be up to touch on that switch. You can't just stay level with the screen, or guys like Brown are going to make you pay. Then Aberdeen goes under a flare on Conwell. That's a 3. And then Chandler goes under on McNeely. And that's all to start the game. And you just, again, like you have to deal with enough defensively when you play Louisville. But to spot a team like that, 10, 11, 12 points to start a game in that environment, that's tough. And the same thing happened to start the second half. And you got the shot in the arm from Jalen Lowe. And I think Marino's awesome, by the way. And I think he's going to get more and more minutes. But, maybe
he won't have
if
to,
Jalen Lowe,
Mike, he won't have to because they're going to get Jaden Quaintance back soon. And you know what? He's going to play 25 minutes when he's healthy, and he can completely make up for – like Brandon Garrison is fine as a backup big. That's what he is. But when Quaintance comes back, that will change everything once he gets healthy. Now, it'll take some time, but you're talking about a guy who's a lottery pick, who's super athletic, who's big, who's strong, who you can actually run your offense through a little bit. Like, I just think he's such a difference maker that this Kentucky team will look completely different once he is there and shakes off some of the rust that it's going to take a little while.
Yeah,
I think completely different is probably a little bit too. Yeah, I think completely different is probably a little bit too strong. But I do think that he is the guy that will allow you to kind of do some of the dribble handoff and have the 5 be the initiator and play on the perimeter. He's a little bit more athletic. He's a better defender. He's a better rebounder. Like I just think it levels up what you want to do on both ends. Yeah, it levels up what you want to do on both ends by about 10%. But I don't think that would have been the difference. Like I think the difference tonight was Kentucky came out, walked into that arena. It rattled them for like the first 5 minutes of the first half. Then they settled in. They cut it to 6 at the half. Rattled them when they came out in the second half. And they settled in. They got it to within 4. If they make those, I mean, look, they missed 2 front ends, right? And then 2 front ends when they were down by 4. And then they missed the Denzel Aberdeen had 2 wide open looks at a 3 when they were down by 6 with about 5 minutes left in the second half. And like, if those go down, this might be a very different conversation. But they dug themselves too much of a hole, Mike, that they needed to be perfect. And you can't expect a team to be perfect against someone as good as Louisville.
Well, let me ask you this. If Jalen Lowe plays 30 minutes in the game, why is Jalen Lowe not starting the game? Because like I just thought Kentucky did not look settled whatsoever offensively. And that led to runouts for Louisville. And then the second Lowe and Marino checked in the game, it was like, okay, they're going to put 2 on the ball, and we're immediately going to make them pay for it. On a short roll, Lowe turns a corner, he gets the 4-point play. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Because I just feel like you don't, in that type of environment, you can dig yourself against that Louisville team. Even if you're like, hey, we want them to sub in at the 16:30 mark, a lot can happen in 3.5 minutes with that Louisville offense. So I don't know.
I hear you, but I think the bigger issue was like Otega Oweh just did not have an Otega Oweh night, and it's going to happen. Like he just didn't play great. I think that was more of an issue. Like, who are you dropping out of that starting lineup? Like, I thought that
right.
you can't
Aberdeen
drop the guy
was on a national title team. Aberdeen was in a national title team, and he trusts Colin Chandler because he's been with him. And I trust Colin Chandler. I actually think Chandler is one of those connectors that you want to have on the floor, no matter what position he's playing, no matter who else is on the court. I hear you. I actually think Jalen Lowe is the one guy that, like, I don't know. Well, he came from Pittsburgh, and I know he's their de facto point guard. I get that. But he also, I wasn't sure how he was going to play in that type of environment.
Yeah, no, it's fair. And look, I think for Chandler too, if you were going to make, hey, what is Kentucky's best defensive group? Colin Chandler's a part of it. I don't know, like whatever that makeup is, I'm not sure, but Colin Chandler's a part of that best defensive group. So look, that's just going to your point, that's going to, from a roster balance standpoint, from a rotation balance standpoint, then maybe Lowe comes in as more of like a change-up to like he was tonight. I just think things become like just a real chore offensively when you don't have a guy that can get a consistent paint touch like that. And Owe can do it, but things need to be dialed up, clear sides. He doesn't operate in close quarters very well.
The pieces don't fit. The pieces don't fit as well for Kentucky right now as they do for Louisville. They don't.
I think the pieces will fit, but not. I think the pieces really fit for Louisville. So that's all. I don't want to compare it as like, hey, these pieces fit, these pieces don't fit.
It's not yet.
Kentucky's
like
gonna,
Louisville does.
Right.
Yeah. Well, look, Jaden Quainton's coming back will help some of that. Russellmania in the chat said he's not worried because of one game. He's worried because it's Pope's second year and we still seem lost in tough games. I just want to give you guys a couple of facts, right? Last year, Kentucky beat Duke. Last year, Kentucky beat Gonzaga. Last year, Kentucky beat Louisville. They beat Florida, the national champions. They beat Tennessee twice. Yeah. And they beat Tennessee twice, and then they beat Illinois in the NCAA tournament. And we're going to talk about Illinois in a second. And he's got an entirely new roster. Russell, chill, man. I promise you, Kentucky's going to be just fine. Just fine. When Otega Oweh plays better and Jaden Quainton comes back, because those are your two best players. When we get back, we're going to hear from the one and only Mike LaTulip on his Fighting Illini and the win over Texas Tech they landed tonight. As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app. You sign up using bonus code FIELD. You deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. With media days and on-site events the last 2 months, travel for me has been crazy. Luckily, I had Huel. This month, Huel launched in Target stores nationwide. Both of their ready-to-drink products are now available. The Black Edition has 35 grams of protein, 27 essential vitamins and minerals, no artificial sweeteners, and is gluten-free for under $5 a meal. The Daily Greens Edition, which I have here peach hibiscus flavored, was developed by registered nutritionists and dietitians with 42 vitamins and minerals and superfoods, with just 25 calories, 4 grams of fiber, and only 1 gram of sugar. When you're busy with work, travel, children, and just life in general, Huel makes sneaking in meals quick, easy, and most importantly, healthy. Pick them up in Target stores nationwide, or if you're a first-time customer, get 15% off your purchase with the promo code F68 at Huel. That's HUEL.com/F68. Welcome back, Field of 68 After Dark. We just finished discussing Kentucky's loss to Louisville, and we're going to pivot here. We got to talk about Illinois because the number 14 team in the country landed an 81-77 win over the Texas Tech Red Raiders on a night when JT Toppin looked like the best player in college basketball. Mike LaTulip, Kai Boswell had 22 points, 3 boards, 2 assists. This is a guy that's been, I think, a little bit he hasn't exactly had the greatest headlines throughout his career. He's also a 20-year-old that is now a senior. And I think, I texted you this earlier, word for word. I said, give me Kai Boswell on my team 10 times out of 10. How good was he tonight? How good were the Illini tonight?
You win games because of Kylan Boswell, those type of guys. And it's not just we see him diving on the ball, diving on the floor for loose balls. We see him fronting JT Toppin after Toppin has it going, taking control of the offense, but also understanding the guys that he has around him and being able to flip the ball off to Wagler or to Mirkovic and just say, hey, go. And it doesn't have to be all about him. I think that's why he's so unselfish, and that's why he's been such a good leader since he's gotten to Illinois. And it came in the form of 31 points last game. Obviously, he was tremendous tonight, but just the defensive intensity from him, I think, just kind of permeates throughout the rest of the team. And I'm happy that he's in Illini. That's for damn sure, because he just brings it every single night, and he's a big reason why. I think this Illinois team showed a lot of reasons why they can compete for a Big Ten title tonight.
Yeah, Goodman.
Mike, they were shorthanded tonight, right? Shorthanded, a couple of guys down. We haven't really seen one of those, an international guy so far this year, but they'll get Tommy back here at some point. I don't know how quickly. When you look at this team, they were kind of a question mark, a little bit of a mystery coming to the season. Take your Homer hat off and tell me what you think of this team so far in terms of their upside, their ceiling.
Yeah, it started with the exhibition game against Illinois State. I know you could say, hey, it's Illinois State, but just how connected they play. They're so unselfish. They're high IQ. I think they're so tough. And that was on display tonight because frankly, this is a game that they do not win last year. Because that run that Texas Tech had, that team, given their youth last year, was not able to sustain runs like that. And they weren't able to recover from runs like that. This team can, because they've seen battles. They're so even keel. And I just think the combination of size, of skill, I mentioned the IQ, and then the shooting ability, and how that lends itself to these guys like Stojakovic and Boswell and Mirkovic who can attack these matchups. We saw them attack matchups in a lot of different ways tonight. Kylan went into backdowns. Mirkovic went into backdowns on the kind of like 21 action inverted ball screen on the sideline to get the matchups they want and go exploit it. I thought Illinois was the more physical team tonight, the bigger team, and they exploited that. And I think too, Jeff, when you think about the ceiling for this team, and I've made the comparison before, but the Indiana team from a few years ago when Hood Schifino came on the team, and that changed their ceiling a little bit. Jace Richardson last year, how that changed the ceiling a little bit for Michigan State. It's the same deal with Mirkovic and Wagler. I mean, Wagler, you can look and say 11, 12 points tonight. Dude had 5 offensive rebounds. Like, he sticks his nose in there. He knows how to play. He can play in any personnel grouping. Mirkovic, I think we've seen it. I mean, everybody wants to say they bring in these pros from internet. Like, Mirkovic is 18 years old, and he's a damn good player, and he's fearless, and he plays full tilt. And that's why in an environment like tonight, he mentioned it after the Illinois State scrimmage, that he was like, I've never heard an arena that loud. And it was like, buddy, wait until that Texas Tech game. And he just comes in and whether it's taking on the challenge with Toppin or decking a guy off the bounce, seeing the double team, spraying it out of it, hitting Kylan for that and one. It's just, they play so well together. And then Stojakovic getting integrated into all that, which he's been the offensive engine at Cal. His, prior to last game, his last college basketball game he played, he had 37 points. So how do you integrate to this kind of concept-based offense now? And tonight was just a night where they said, let's go win matchups. And that's what happened. It's a lot like the 23-24 team that went to an Elite Eight. And I think this Illinois team has that same type of ceiling.
Yeah, and the thing about Andre is he's not. You think of him as just a shooter because of what his last name is, right? So if someone his name's Stojakovic, you're like, oh yeah, that dude's always going to fire up some threes. No, he's like 6'7", a downhill driver. He's strong. He can absorb contact. He has a way about him around the basket. He finished a bunch of stuff at the rim. I thought it was really interesting that they seem to be hunting the matchup with JT Toppin in the second half. And that was, and Andre won that more often than not. We got a surprise guest joining us right now. The star of tonight's win for the Fighting Illini, Kylan Boswell, who, Kai, correct me if I'm wrong, but you scored your 1,000th point tonight. Hey, look at that. We got them both.
I like it. The
We
duo.
got Stojakovic in the building.
Let's go.
I got a whole bunch of water sprayed on me after game. But yeah, I scored my 1,000 points this game.
Hey, what's this been like for you, Kylan, in terms of all these new faces that have shown up, and Underwood's kind of said, well, I love these international guys because I can coach them, they listen, all this stuff. What's it been like for you with these guys coming in? And I just talked to LaTulip a little bit about the ceiling of this team, and your guys aren't even whole yet, and you beat Texas Tech tonight at home.
Yeah, I mean, coming from Arizona, Coach Lloyd's, recruited Europeans a lot. So for me, it's been nice trying to get better at, just getting the guys like accustomed to our philosophies and our standards. And I've been saying too, also I have a bunch of like tour guides throughout the country now. I just went to Greece with this guy too. So yeah, it's just nice that they come with open minds. They're very, very smart. But them being like super eager to learn and accepting of everything that we try to teach them and help them with, I think it's just a great combination for us.
Yeah, Kylan, really, this is a question for both of you guys, and it's a defensive question. Kylan, I need to know, when you switched on to JT Toppin, were you told to do that, or did you say, this is my matchup now?
Well, it's a mix of me and Cam understanding like he knows I can guard the bigs. Like I did it with Coop, I did it with Danny last year. Like he already knows it, and the whole team understands and comfortable with me doing it. So he told me once we got into the second half that he would want to see it. And then when I got tired of seeing JT hit his left foot jump shot, so we did to make a decision to switch that. But no, having this dude with me though, 100% comfortable where. I'm not worried about Anderson going off. I'm not worried about none of that. And that's a big reasoning why he came here and why I was excited to play with him. Defensively, we're a great combo together.
Well, that's high level interviewing, because it leads me right into what my other question was, which is, Dre, just talk about accepting that challenge on Christian Anderson tonight. I mean, this is a dude that's popped off in a few of his first games, and having to navigate that 2-man game up top and the unbelievable block at the end. I mean, what was going through your mind when you checked in the game? It's not easy coming off the bench, but what was your mindset defensively tonight?
Yeah, I think just the confidence and trust that me and Kylan have with each other to be able to guard multiple positions. Him not having to chase around the fast guard, and me using my length to, we're never going to stop the great players completely, but we can make their life as hard as we can. And I think me chasing around Anderson and obviously Boswell showed that he can guard one of the best bigs in the country. Just that confidence we have for each other to guard multiple positions. It means a lot to this team.
Andre, how good do you think this team can be when you get full strength? And maybe give us a little bit of a scouting report on the guy that we don't know yet, Petrovic.
I think for both questions, we're just gonna have to wait and see. I don't want to put a cap on how good we can be. As a player on this team, I'm gonna have the confidence, and I'm gonna say that we can compete and beat anybody in this country. And I think with our physicality, toughness, relentless, going to the rim, shooting the ball, I'm confident to say that we're gonna be in close games with any team. But we know what Petrovic can do. We saw him when he first got here, but the rest of the country doesn't know what he can do. So we're just gonna have
Who's
to
he
wait and see.
like? Who's he like? Either one of you
He's like,
on that one.
he's like Mihailo Petrovic, and people will get to know him very soon.
Good.
Come on, man.
Good.
You got to give me
Hey.
something better than that. All right.
Well
Who
done,
does he?
Andre.
pro. That's a pro
well
right there.
done. You navigated that like a champion, man. Well done, Kai. I want to end it. I want to end it with this, man. Last time we talked to you last year, I don't know if you remember this, but you came on here and you told Monocles that you need an NIL deal. Have you gotten your NIL deal with Monocles yet?
Me and my pops, we got it sorted out. We are right now actually in contact with the owner and getting a deal situated.
All right. Can we save the pizza until after the season, though? You got to stay in shape, man.
Yeah. We don't. I'm good.
Listen, guys, congratulations on the win. It's great to see you. Best of luck the rest of the season. All right.
My dogs, appreciate you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
That was awesome. Oh man. Hey, Goodman, you set
What a
those
night.
landmines up for Andrej Stojakovic, and he just dodged every single one of them. That was awesome.
Can I
Blew
say
right
this
by you.
too? Like, I feel tonight, like you opened it, Rob, and it's true. I felt like college basketball is back tonight. Now, you and I were doing our own thing on the opening night. So we weren't sitting at home watching Florida, Arizona like a lot of other people were, in Villanova, BYU. But I don't know. I just felt like tonight there was so much going on early with the close games that we'll talk about here soon. And then with the big boy matchups that both delivered in their own way. They both got close enough where there was game pressure on both.
So let's do that. Let's pivot this a little bit real quick, Goodman. Texas Tech had a huge night from JT Toppin. Christian Anderson didn't shoot it well, but he had 11 assists, and we saw Lawan Watts go for 21. Is there any reason for Texas Tech to be worried, or like you go on the road and lose a game like this? It just someone's got to lose.
Yeah, hell no. No. If you're Texas Tech, even if you're Grant McCaslin, I think you're coming out of this saying, you know what? We stood toe-to-toe with Illinois in Champaign. We had a chance to win. I know what, everybody knows what Toppin can do. Everybody knows Christian Anderson's better than he showed out tonight. But again, like LaTulip said, they did a great job defensively on him. Texas Tech's going to be just fine. And I think Watts, as your third guy, is super important, that he's consistently their third guy because, the rest of their guys kind of, I think, are role players. So if they have kind of a big three, I don't see any reason why with Grant McCaslin coaching that group that they're not a team that, again, can go deep in the tournament and can win a ton of games this year.
Yeah, I think you touched on Lawan Watts. I mean, Lawan Watts is a pro, period. Like that dude is going to be playing in the NBA. He's just he's a matchup nightmare. He's high IQ. He can make all the reads, 2 for 2 from 3 tonight. He's tough. And I think Texas Tech, I mean, they started 11 for 11 from the field in the second half. So to come out of the locker room like they did, and I thought Illinois did a good job throwing them off kilter a little bit, throwing Boswell on Toppin, but I just think that Brian and Atwell are going to come along just as those role guys, because you touched on it, Jeff. You got 3 really damn good players. Like, to me, 3. I mean, we know Toppin and Anderson, but I think Watts, if Texas Tech can have enough success in league, they can have 3 all-league players, and Watts being one of them. So depth, I don't know. Sometimes depth is overrated because if you just have 3 damn good players, 4 really good players, and those other role guys can kind of step in, then what does depth really matter? So that's kind of how I look at Texas Tech. Anderson tonight, look, they took away that 2-man game. And a lot of it was obviously posting JT Toppin, but the ability, I think, for Anderson to have to deal with that length from Stojakovic, that to me was really the story of the night. And it culminated on that last possession, but no panic for Texas Tech whatsoever. I think I had Texas Tech going to a Final Four. You just see the force and the guardrail that JT Toppin is every single night. I mean, he's just, if he gets to that right shoulder, it's over. And Illinois saw that firsthand.
Yeah, I thought JT Toppin looked like a first-team All-American, and he played like a first-team All-American. And to me, they lost this game because they went on the road and their three-point shooters combined to go 2 for 13, which is something that happens when you play against good teams on the road. This win by Illinois said everything about Illinois. Texas, I'm still all in. Texas Tech can win the Big 12, and they can make it to a Final Four.
And not that I need to convince you that JT Toppin's a hell of a player, but Illinois does not double the post. And they doubled the post tonight in the second half. So that
he made 11 shots in a row, Mike. You got to do something.
Yeah. I mean, that's gonna, if that doesn't, I felt like it was UConning all over again. And then
he's earning his money.
Yes, he is, man. And for what he's making, he's got to go for 35, 11, 3, 3, and 3 every single night. I will say, shout out to our guy, Kai Boswell, because double teaming JT Toppin didn't work, but you put a 6'1" point guard on him and he locked him down.
Hey, that's great, because I actually wanted to make the point. I wanted to make the point because Toppin was getting going. Like some of those short rolls where you can't meet him on the angle back to the basket and he can finish and he goes to the free throw line. When you stick a 6'2" guard on him and start fronting, what it actually does is stalls your offense, because you just start catching and holding and looking and saying, all right, well, where can we find this angle? Where can we throw it in? So, it's not like, and Kylan's so good at changing his angles and swimming around, playing behind, then swimming over the front 3/4. And then you have help on the backside. That's really why, Texas Tech.
And he just sits there. He just sits there on JT Toppin's, and he wedges you out because he's got such a low center of gravity.
He's pound for pound. Kylan Boswell is one of the strongest dudes in college basketball. And he touched on it. He's like, I guarded Coop. He's absolutely right. He guarded Cooper Flag last year. He guarded Danny Wolf last year. I mean, this guy, time and time again, he's going to go overlooked because he may not end up having the counting stats from like a steals perspective or a blocks perspective when people look at like National Defensive Player of the Year or Defensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten, but you see the impact he makes on a nightly basis. It's pretty incredible.
Yep, he's a stud. He doesn't need any awards or any acknowledgments. He just needs that Monocles NIL deal. Get it done, Monocles. Listen, guys, we got a lot more to get to. Got to talk about Michigan surviving Wake Forest in overtime. We got to talk about Florida surviving Florida State. And we probably need to touch on Ole Miss, and we need to talk about this Gonzaga game. That's probably going to end up being in the afters here. We got more on the Field of 68 after dark coming up next. As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. If you're not a member of the Field of 68's On3 community, make sure to go check us out. Get access to all of Jeff Goodman and Rob Dauster's written content, including coaching carousel breakdowns, info on who is and isn't entering the transfer portal, insider recruiting information from none other than Joe Tipton, X's and O's analysis of all the teams in college basketball, and access to our message board community. A 7-day trial costs you $1. The Field of 68 on 3. Get the scoop. Would you be surprised to find out that the Field of 68 is home to more than 35 podcasts? More than 25 team-specific podcasts that are hosted by the people that know what fans want the most. The Goodman and Humble podcast, the DTF podcast, the A10 Insider podcast, and the Mountain West podcast. But wait, there's even more. The Field of 68 will be launching the ACC Insider podcast this year. Subscribe to this channel and come along for the ride. Welcome back to Tuesday's edition of the Field of 68 After Dark. Rob Dauster, Jeff Goodman, Mike LaTulip. We got to start here, guys. We're going to kind of go a little bit rapid fire here at the end, but we got to talk about this Michigan game. There's a lot of things I want to get to, and I want to have a conversation about the Michigan 3 big stuff. But before we do any of that, Adai Mara, he finished with, I believe it was 18 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 blocks, 8 for 11 from the floor. I think 6 of those 8 field goals were lobs where he literally just caught it with his arms extended and turned around and dunked it in the air. The easiest alley-oop anyone's ever caught in their entire life. 17 and 7 for Elliot Cadeau with 8 rebounds as well. Goodman, when you see Adai Mara playing like this and you see the impact that Elliot Cadeau can have, they survived a run from Wake Forest, but I think I liked what I saw from Michigan more than disliked what I saw.
Yeah, I mean, it was back and forth, right? I mean, they were up big, and then Wake came all the way back, took the lead. I don't know yet. The jury's kind of still out for me with the 3 big lineup. And the other part is it's not like Wake has some imposing front line either. So I want to see Mara also go up against, a higher level of front line and see what he can do. But he was terrific tonight. I mean, I remember when Mick Cronin got him a couple of years ago, he was raving to me about him. And it's just taking him a little more time. That's all. But the system certainly, I think, will work because Dusty has shown that he can have success with playing multiple bigs. I just don't know if you can play all 3 of them together that often.
Go ahead, Mike. I know you got something to say on this, and I'll respond.
Yeah, look, I don't think Dusty May is playing the 3 big lineup to try to throw a change up or be different. I think it's legitimately their 3 best players. So you're not going to stagger the rotation. You're just going to have to figure it out. And I thought what was most telling for me, because I was curious how they were going to all coexist on the floor together, and you kind of thought that, okay, well, Lendeberg's going to be involved, right? Offensively. And all the actions to start the game had Mara involved. I mean, he was their 5-out hub. He was rolling to the basket. And I get it when you have Cadeau, you have Cadeau for a reason. So you want to have him playing ball screens. But I thought it was interesting. And I trust Dusty May because if you got that lineup out there and Yaxel Lendeberg is more of a spacer, then there's a reason why he's more of a spacer. And there's obviously things that he's seen with this lineup in practice, in games, that allows him to say, okay, Mara he may not be their highest NBA draft pick. He may not be their most talented player, but he's probably their most important because we saw what happened when he was on the floor defensively too, and how he is just as an anchor down there. So that was kind of the story for me tonight. I mean, I know we started with Mara, but how that trio of guys in the front court work and offensively is one thing, but defensively, because where does Merez go in a situation where you have a 4-guard lineup against this group, and how well do the guards rebound from the guard spot? All those are questions that I don't think need to be answered right now, but it'll just be interesting to monitor because I don't know, the usage for Lendeberg compared to Mara tonight was surprising. But the more the game played out and the way when you see Mara play, maybe you're not as surprised.
Yeah, well, look, I get why Adai Mara is the guy that they play through, and I think that is the right decision to play for him. What I don't understand, and I will take the L if it proves to be something that works out. Yaxel Lendeberg is the quintessential college 4 man, right? Like he's got the skill, he's got the playmaking, he's got the ability to rebound, he's switchable defensively. Like he's the guy you want. Every college team in the country wants him at the 4. And as much as I love Merez, I feel like he is the perfect change of pace 5 man for Adai Mara. And you could play him alongside Adai for a couple of possessions because Adai can pass the ball. But when you have Elliot Cadeau, Adai Mara, and Yaxel Lendeberg as your 1, 4, and 5, you have to me, that's the most difficult lineup for you to be able to guard. And when the guy that's taking the most threes on your roster and you're kind of burying him in the corner is someone that could have been like a top 20 pick in the draft because of what he can do as a 4 man, like that's what doesn't necessarily compute for me. So I need to see more to figure this out. But the thing is, I feel like Dusty May is the kind of guy that like he's doing this for a reason, like you said. I don't think that he's just throwing it out there because he's like, you know what, I played 2 bigs. Now I'm going to prove to you I could play 3 bigs together. I don't think it's that. I think there's a lot of stuff that they have to kind of tighten up to be able to make this work the way that you need it to work for Michigan to play at the level they want to be able to play this season.
Well, and I think too, you got to think about it with this 3 big lineup. You mentioned how it does make sense to have Mara in the actions, because if he wasn't, then you have 2 non-spacers. And if you have Yaxel on the ball, then what does that spacing look like? Can you really optimize Yaxel's ability? So that's why I get having Mara in that, in that spot. The other thing is, look, if Yaxel is going to have more of an off-ball type of role, there's going to be an adjustment period for him. Like, people don't realize with players, it's not like, I talked about it last year with Nelly Davis. It's like, this isn't just, hey, take your FAU stats, bring them over here. This takes time to get used to maybe a role that you haven't been in. And, the one thing tonight, if you're Lindenberg, it's okay, whether you have the offensive usage or not, 0 offensive rebounds can't happen, especially from the 3 spot, right? Like, especially from the 3 spot, when you probably have an advantage there on the glass. And I get some of these other guys are gobbling up rebounds, but those are the things that, like, for a guy, when you get the usage, when you don't have the usage that you maybe expect, you can't also become a bystander. So we saw him get out on the break. All that's great. Cadeau, like all the things we envisioned for this Michigan team, playing fast. That was there tonight, I thought. But this particular lineup in this grouping, we'll see if they change. Because I do think that, even when they put Cheddar in there, it's like, I like Cheddar at the 4. I don't like Cheddar as much at the 3. So it's just, you got this almost, embarrassment of riches in the front court. It's just going to be a matter of how they navigate it. I think the talent's there. And I still we bought Cadeau back in the summer. I'm still buying Cadeau. I'm really high on Michigan still, even though this was a close game. It may say more about Wake because they found those guards got into the paint relentlessly.
Yep. I will say that the front line of Mara, Cheddar, and Lindenberg sounds like a delicious cheese board that they should sell at some high-end tapas restaurant. Goodman, Wake Forest, LaTulip just mentioned him a little bit. They don't have the biggest front line, but I think that could end up being an advantage sometimes when you play against the Wolverines. That's a top 10 team. Wake Forest took them to overtime and had a chance to win it in overtime playing Michigan in Detroit. I know Steve Forbes is not the kind of guy that is all about moral victories, and that's not going to help him get to the NCAA tournament. But is there a reason to be bullish on this Wake Forest squad?
I don't know about bullish so much, but I'll say this. Like, you watch them fight Michigan and you watch Florida State fight Florida tonight and take them both to the wire, and you say to yourself, other than Boston College losing to Central Connecticut State, the league fared well tonight. I mean, obviously we know Louisville beat Kentucky. So the ACC had a hell of a night tonight, even though Wake missed out on an opportunity. And I think that's the hardest part if you're Steve Forbes. Yes, you feel good because you didn't know what you had coming in, and you have some pressure to win this year, but it's still a missed opportunity that you probably could have gotten. And Spiller's fouling out didn't help. Kelmy's driving, he kind of got eaten up by those bigs at times. But Duke Harris had a good second half. I thought Makai Mason had a good second half as well. They came back. They took the lead. But again, Michigan, they're bigger. And I think Wake's biggest deficiency right now is probably its 5-man spot.
Yep. You mentioned Trayvon Spillers fouling out. Shout out to Elliot Cadeau for one of the greatest gamesmanship. They call it the dark arts performances I've seen. With 2 fouls, Trayvon Spillers put a forearm in his chest and he grabbed it with 2 arms and fell down backwards. So it looked like Trayvon Spillers was pushing him, got his 3rd foul, fouled him out. That's when Michigan made their run in the second half. It's probably not the proper way to play, but that was pretty funny. It made me laugh. LaTulip, I am on record as saying I am worried about this Florida team. I said it before. Arizona. Xavier Lee making the move up to the SEC level, losing the guards that they lost. They lost 2 pros or 2 NBA rotation players and an absolute linebacker in the G League now in Elijah Martin. And you struggle with Florida State tonight. Am I right to be a little bit nervous about where Florida is right now?
I mean, I had concerns after the Arizona game, and I think that's natural given what they have to replace. And I think it showed itself tonight once again. They were on the winning side of things tonight, but just with a new group, granted the front court's back, but with a new backcourt, you got to kind of relearn how to win and how to close games. And they had the ultimate closer last year, and you just saw like closing games offensively this year it's going to have to be by committee. And I thought, there's a really big 3, Klavjar hit in the corner and make it 74-70 off a great skip from Xavier Lee. And it's like the ball touched, it was probably passed 11 times, and it was just who's going to do something with it. And Xavier made a play and Klavjar hit the 3, but like that's the stuff they're going to continue to learn and build upon. I'm not out on Florida by any means. It's just, and we just saw from Lee tonight too. He's a jump shooting guard. Boogie Fland at times can be a jump shooting guard. And that is going to bring variance to your offense. So how do they progress as guys that can get downhill and potentially, get to the free throw line? I mean, I know they shot 12 tonight. That's progress. That's what I'm monitoring. It's just, can this Florida team kind of relearn how to win with this particular group? Because it's going to be different than last year.
Yep. And to be clear, I'm not out on Florida as being like a really good team. I am out on them as being
it's relative.
That's gonna repeat as national champions. Like they're gonna be in the top 4 of the SEC, and there's a real chance they're in the second week of the tournament. I just think that their ceiling's a little bit lower than what I expected. Goodman, I was impressed by Florida State though. Like we gotta talk about Luke Lux and kind of this roster he's put together. Robert McRae was awesome. They've looked really good through the first 8-9 days of the college basketball season.
And it wasn't just on threes. That's the beauty. Now they got killed on the glass, but I think they play hard. To me, they play with freedom. McRae's been terrific so far. I mean, just the fact that they took him down to the wire was really impressive for a team that, again, has no money for the most part, no NIL budget. What he's done is really impressive for a first-year coach. But yeah, I'm with you guys on Florida. Like, I just don't know if that backcourt has the shit to them, frankly, that Florida's backcourt last year did. And I think that was what put him over the top. Having Walter Clayton, having Elijah Martin, having forgetting his name. Help me out.
Will Richard.
I know I want to say Chris Richard, but that was a member of the Florida national title team years ago. Having those 3, you're not going to be able to fill them, but like these guys are so different. And again, like I don't know, they're just missing a guy that you can just give the ball to, and like you just feel like he's gonna really impact the game and just make a play. I don't feel like either Lee or Fland are that.
Yeah. And how
I think.
Yeah.
Go
I would say
ahead.
Hauk's got a he's the one so far
awesome.
that has been willing to take that jump. And I think the reliance on playing more through the bigs and they always went into their like DHOs and dribble handoffs and zoom actions and stuff. But I mean, this is the second high major game they've played this year, and Alex Condon has 6 turnovers in both. I mean, there's times where he hasn't looked as comfortable, and he was great. He was great in their previous game against North Florida, but like he's going to have to be more sure with the ball. I think they ended up with 18 turnovers tonight, and that's a big reason why Florida State was able to keep this close, because it sure as hell wasn't because Florida State was able to get a ton of. I didn't think Florida State's shot quality was all that great tonight. Nope. It's just Florida kind of squandered a lot of possessions offensively. You went on the glass by that much like they did tonight, and you hold a team to that low of a field goal percentage like they did with that overall shot quality. Like that's a 15-point plus win, but not being able to close games not being able to take care of the ball. That's how you let teams hang around.
Yep. They're also shooting 21% from three through 3 games. Xavier and Lee 1 for 10 tonight from three. Boogie Flan 2 for 7 from three. If those guys find a way to start getting up to closer, like about 40%, those two specifically, then it's a different conversation. And also Tommy Hawk is an absolute stud. Toast of the night. Then we'll get to the afters afterwards. Goodman, you go first. Who are you toasting tonight?
I think, boy, who am I going to toast tonight? You go first, and then I'm gonna.
Go ahead. You go first, Mike. You go first because
it's Veterans Day. I'm toasting Army. That environment was awesome, despite the final score. That was sweet. I mean, I wish more high major teams would do that. That was freaking awesome. That's my toast.
Yeah.
I don't know where my water bottle is. That's my toast.
Yeah. That was what I was going to say as well. So I'll pivot. I'm going to go ahead and give a toast to Tony Madlock at Alabama State. They go on the road today. They go to UAB. They pick up a road win over a very good UAB team there in Birmingham. Fun to see. I always love to see those HBCUs go on the road because they got to do so much dirty work and go and a lot of times kind of get their brains beat in to be able to make the money that they need to be able to make these athletic departments run. So it's nice to see them go on the road and get paid for a victory. Goodman, what do you got?
I'm going to toast to the entire Louisville fan base because, man, if there's a fan base that deserves it over the last couple of years, it is Louisville's fan base. I mean, again, like you are at the bottom of the barrel. You are a prideful program that has won national titles, gone to so many Final Fours, and you were the worst high major team in the country for 2 years. A laughing stock, an embarrassment. It was humiliating. I can go on and on with more adjectives if you'd like, but I'm toasting the Louisville fan base.
Yeah, that's a good one. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give out a toast for our producer, Dagan Hughes, because he wanted us to give a toast to George Halkovich and the Buffalo Bulls. Shout out to George. Shout out to the Phillies. Go Birds. He's a Philly guy. Buffalo goes into Chicago and knocks off DePaul 66-53 tonight. Big win for George. They struggled the last couple of years at Buffalo, but they're 3-0 now on the season. Maxion is alive and well. We got to talk about the Zags. We got to talk about Ole Miss, and we will do that in the afters. We're live. It's the afters.
Hit the chat.
I'm not getting close to any bear.
My career high on the court is 28.
It's the afters. Time to get wild. If you got any questions for us, hop in the chat, fire away. We'll answer them. I want to start with this. We're going to start with the game that's not even over yet, Mike. Gonzaga, as we're looking at it right now, if this was a youth basketball game, it would be mercy ruled. They're up by 30. They had a 21-0 run on Creighton in the second half. I told Goodman this on, was it Sunday night when we did the show, the Sunday version of After Dark, that I am very, very high on Gonzaga after watching them. Graham Ike's got 20 and 10. Braden Huff has 14. You got length and athleticism on your perimeter and Tyon Grant Foster and Jalen Worley. You got a big point guard in Mario St. Superi who can come in and spell Braden Smith. I think this Gonzaga team is very, very real. And I think that they have the kind of roster that you need to be able to make a deep run in the NCAA tournament. I am very in on the Zags.
Well, I mean, here's the thing you got to look at is not that Gonzaga has scored 83 points so far at the under 4, that they've held Creighton and Greg McDermott's offense, right? One of the best offensive coaches in America to 54 points. To me, that's what's going to be the differentiator for Gonzaga.
54 at the under 4 for people listening on demand. 54 at the under 4.
Thank you. Good clarification there. They're long. They're athletic. Graham Ike is like 42 years old. It feels like he's played 8 years of college basketball. But again, the guys they brought in, Tyron Grant Foster didn't do much today, but again, he's got that length. Adam Miller comes in, and he's long and athletic. And Saint Superi, I think I'm pronouncing it right, has some length at that point guard position. And, he and Braden Smith will kind of split that point guard spot. But this is a different Gonzaga team than we've been used to. And they've got depth, they've got length, they've got some athleticism, and I think people have kind of been sleeping on them a little bit, myself included, to be honest.
Mike?
Yeah, this Gonzaga team reminds me a little bit of my freshman year. We went up to Spokane and played the Gonzaga team that was number 1 overall seed. And I'm not saying that's going to happen with Gonzaga this year, but just the way that Olynyk and Elias Harris, how they've really played off of each other, that reminds me a lot of what I see with Graham Ike and Braden Huff. They just have a way of understanding, despite sometimes clogging up each other's area, they find a way to make it work, whether it's with high lows. Huff's so good just with his spatial awareness to clear out for Ike, but also free up. And when a double does come, and a lot of times it comes from the 4 spot, Huff just knows exactly where to be. And I think they've made Creighton pay with that tonight. And look, I was pretty confident that this was going to be a blowout tonight. Creighton, my antennas are up. Yeah.
How much you put on that MGM?
I was locked in tonight, Rob. I was locked in. I was watching games. But look, like back to the Zags. You're right. I think with Adam Miller, he's been just the quintessential 3-and-D guy in college basketball. He's almost, whatever he is, 23, 24 years old. Tyron Grant Foster, 23, 24 years old. I mean, these guys, they're old, they're experienced, they're athletic. All those things I think mix into, some Gonzaga teams we've seen over the years haven't been able to overwhelm teams athletically. This team can overwhelm teams athletically, which is huge because that just gives you more margin for error. And especially in the conference that they're in, they should obviously take care of business. But can you be better than playing in the 8-9 game this year? And I think this team can.
Oh yeah, I would be shocked if they were in the 8-9 game here if they stayed healthy throughout the season. I love it's exactly what you said. It's the way that the two bigs can kind of fit together. And Graham Ike, I believe he scored his 2,000th point tonight. Awesome kid. Gave us a shout out at WCC Media Day. So I'm any of these guys that are like, hey, what's up, man? Whenever I see him, I'm all in. I'm a fan. I'm very easily sold. I'm not going to lie to you guys. We did have a question in the chat. I asked for questions, and Skybearer said, Rob, I got to poop. Should I? Yes, Skybearer. If you have to poop, go poop. Don't hold it in. That's very unhealthy.
You should hold it till the end of the show. Till the end of the show, and then go.
He's watching on his phone. You can just bring your phone into the bathroom with you. It's better for you if you do that. Memphis Ole Miss. Goodman, I'm going to make you wait to answer this one simply because I know what you're going to end up saying. We're probably going to end up firing Penny for the 7th time on this broadcast. So, Mike, I'm going to go to you first. Big win for Ole Miss. Is there anything big picture you can take away from this for the SEC? And are you worried about a Memphis team that invested so heavily in guys like Aaron Bradshaw and Doug McDaniel when they're not coming through?
I mean, again, the theme for a lot of these teams right now, and especially for this Memphis team, because Penny had mentioned that they just put in, I think he said they just put in their offensive system like last week or whatever it was. Like
that was insane. That was insane to hear.
I don't know if you're serious, but why would you say that? Like, Penny, just don't say anything.
But he did say it, and given that it's just going to take time with this Memphis team. That team was so good last year, particularly, I mean, getting Dane Danger. We just talked about the bigs with Gonzaga, but those two bigs last year with Cisse and Danger, the way they played off each other. Jordan was great in terms of just being like a mobile 4. That backcourt was one of the toughest backcourts to guard in America, and now you got an overhaul. And my question for Memphis is just whether it's Doug McDaniel, whether it's guys like Aaron Bradshaw, can you come in and be a part, be a part of winning? And that's really the question for Memphis, I think, because there's talent isn't the issue. It's definitely not the talent, but you have to give yourself time to gel. And we're so early on with that. That team last year was much further ahead of schedule than this team is right now.
Goodman, go ahead. Say what you got to say.
No, I mean, to me, this game ended exactly how I thought it would. I mean, Ole Miss won. I don't think they covered. So I'm not disappointed in Memphis's performance. They kept it close. And ultimately, if you're Penny Hardaway, you better win the league because you have at least 3 times as much as the second team in the American in terms of NIL resources this year. So, ultimately, that's what's going to matter. Get to the tournament. It didn't work out for you losing PJ Haggerty. You added some guys that, frankly, like Mike said, haven't won a lot of games at the places they've been. I'd rather talk about Ilias Kamardine, the Tyrese Halliburton lookalike.
Ilias Kamardine,
sorry.
Stud.
Ilias Kamardine.
Put some respect on his name and say it properly. Thank you.
Yeah, it's tough for me, man. All these international guys. It's going to take some time. I'm not lying. Like I'm not in mid-season form with this.
I got a piece of advice for you. If you really want to learn how to be able to pronounce a lot of these European names, you know what you should do?
Start watching
a lot of soccer. Because if you watch a lot of soccer, none of these names are going to be a problem for you. You'll be able to figure it all out.
I watched enough of this game tonight to realize that what Chris Beard told me in the preseason about this kid is for real. Like this kid is, and when we started talking about the show tonight, Mike mentioned the freshmen and the international guys, and that's why college basketball's talent is so high right now. And a kid like Ilias, man, we're not talking about these guys as much, but they're going to have a huge imprint on college basketball this year. And he's Ole Miss's best player. What did he finish with, 25 tonight? Something like that?
26,
22?
4-4.
Yeah, he was terrific tonight. He can score in every way. You can see he can shoot it from deep, get to the mid-range. He can finish around the basket. He can pass it. He's big and strong enough. He gives Ole Miss a chance with, Malik Dia up front. They got James Scott to help Malik Dia so he doesn't have to play the 5. So I think Ole Miss is a team that, again, one of those teams that we didn't talk a lot about other than you saying that they were off-season losers. Or maybe I said that. I don't know. Maybe we both said that. But I don't think they're off-season losers because this kid makes them a winner.
Yeah. Okay. Good one. Dagan, do we have any questions in the chat before we get out of here?
For a sec here and see what we got going on. I saw one. I don't know if it was serious or not. Do you guys think the ACC is better than the SEC this year? I'm not really sure if that was a serious question.
No, but it's much better. It's much better, but it's not better.
Let's actually answer that because it is an interesting conversation to have. I think, and you guys tell me if I'm crazy here, I think that the top of the ACC is better than the top of the SEC. I think I would probably take
That's
right
not
now.
What he asked, but
I know, but hold on. Let me finish the point. I would probably take right now Duke and Louisville over. I think Alabama personally. I think Alabama is the best team in the SEC right now. I would take Duke and Louisville over Alabama, and I'm very high on Alabama. But I think that after you get past the top 6 or so in the ACC, there's a pretty significant drop-off. And I think that the SEC, without a doubt, is deeper and more talented and will get more teams in the tournament. But I think you're more likely, if you're betting on someone to win a national title, it's much more likely it comes from the ACC than it does from the SEC. Is that crazy, Mike?
No, I don't think it's crazy. You mentioned the top of the ACC, but we saw what Florida State did tonight, and we saw what Wake Forest did tonight. And that's not to say that either of those teams are going to compete for the league, But the Dukes, the Louisvilles, it's not going to be like last year where that top of the league is like, whatever those, I have it right here, 19-1, 18-2, 18-2 for those top three teams for Duke, Clemson, and Louisville. I don't think that's going to be the case this year. I think the quality top to bottom is better in the ACC. So there could be an argument there beyond just the top. I mean, we saw, although it was close losses tonight, we see that this, the coaching has gotten better. That's for damn sure in this league. And we know that if the coaching gets better, the wins will follow. So that's, I think some of these teams are going to get knocked off.
This has gotten better. That's what's gotten better.
That too.
Yep. All right. I got another question for you guys. This comes from James Tucker 6956. And the question is, Kentucky has one title in the last 27 years. Should their blue blood status be revoked? I think James is celebrating that Louisville win pretty heavily.
I got killed for putting out a list of blue bloods earlier today. And,
did.
I did. Well, one of them, I put Arizona in there. I went to Arizona. They hate me. So I figured I'd try to make some friends back home in Tucson. So I listed them as a blue blood.
Can you be honest with us for a second? How much of that was you trying to rage bait people? Because you knew as soon as I put all these names on the blue blood list, everyone is going to go nuts.
It worked. It worked. It absolutely worked.
What's the definition?
We should do a show. We should do a show at some point. Actually, it would be a great segment at some point of who are the real blue bloods in the sport right now. Like, write that down, Dagan. That needs to be like a slow night. We should absolutely talk about that.
What's the definition?
I know that look. I've seen that look before.
No, I'm genuinely curious. I think
it's hard
I have
because
a way I look at blue bloods.
Well, because is UCLA a blue blood? They've won, how many titles under Wooden? They haven't done much over the last decade or so, but they still have to be a blue blood, don't they?
Do they?
No. I mean, they've won more titles than anybody else other than Kentucky. Like, how can they not be a blue blood?
Is Indiana a blue blood?
No, but they didn't win as many. Like, that's different. Like, UCLA was at a different level of dominance. Like, I don't think you can take away their blue blood status.
You want to know how long ago it was, Goodman? You weren't even born during UCLA's run of dominance.
I know.
You weren't even born.
I feel like you keep that blue blood status forever when you win that many.
I don't know.
I have a question for you guys.
Give us a real question, Goodman.
I'm going to give you a question. All right. So this is a good question. How many Big East teams make the NCAA tournament? Because we just saw Providence lose to Virginia Tech. We just saw Creighton get absolutely boat raced at Gonzaga. Now, Creighton will get better. Villanova, I mean, they're fine. They're fine. DePaul loses tonight. St. John's loses at home to Alabama. We got UConn that's going to win 2 games here coming up in the next week, probably against BYU Saturday at the Real Garden, and then playing in Stores against Arizona next week. So, I mean, who? Butler, Seton Hall, they're not tournament teams. I know Georgetown won a good game, but, I'm not ready to anoint them yet.
So I think it'll be 4. Yeah. UConn, St. John's, Georgetown, and Providence, I think, are all tournament teams.
See, you're in on Georgetown already. That it's like such an overreaction.
It's not, because I think that this is an Ed Cooley team. I'm not saying that they're going to go to the Final Four. I'm saying that I think they're good enough to be like a top 45 team in America, which is what you need to be able to get into the NCAA tournament. I forgot to mention
Marquette got killed to Indiana. I forgot to mention that one too. It has been an atrocious start for the Big East.
It has not been
atrocious.
It has not been good. I think Creighton and Marquette are in a little bit of trouble. Yeah. One program that I think we need to keep an eye on, and you're going to laugh at me when I say this, and I know you are, and I'm going to say it anyway. Butler's next 3 games at SMU, South Carolina on a neutral, Virginia on a neutral. I think Butler's got some talent. Like, I watched them play. I talked to them this offseason. I know what's on the roster. I know how good some of those players are. I think Butler is the sneaky team. If they're going to get a fifth, I think it would be Butler. But right now, I think it's UConn St. John's, and they give me 3 of Providence, Georgetown, Butler, Marquette, Creighton, and I think it's the first 3 that I mentioned. And I feel I feel like I need to take a shower after saying
that. It's so true. I mean,
didn't we expect that though?
Like Xavier. No, we didn't expect it to be this bad. No.
What did we expect? Did we expect 6 bids from this league?
No.
I mean, you expected like a better start than this. You thought maybe Marquette could beat Indiana. You didn't expect Xavier to lose at home to Santa Clara.
Why?
It's bad.
I thought Xavier. I thought Xavier was going to be a disaster this year, but
losing at home to Santa Clara by 20. Come on, no way. No, you
not
didn't.
Not that bad, but like
they
weren't supposed to be good. They weren't supposed to be good. They don't have money. Their money is probably more comparable to High Point than it is to St. John's and UConn.
No, they have 5-ish. They have a little over 5.
A little more than 5, which is
what do you think
closer.
Santa Clara has, Rob?
Not that, but I think that Xavier has Xavier's amount is closer to High Point than it is to UConn and St. John's. Correct?
That's fair. That's true. That's true. They're not competing with UConn and St. John's, but they're not competing with them.
Okay, and the guy that was supposed to be their best player is not going to play this season, the transfer that they got from Evansville. And when you combine that with the fact that they don't have the money that you need to compete in the Big East, it's not surprising to me that Xavier is struggling. I didn't think they'd lose by 20 at home to Santa Clara. You're right, but I did not think that they would be good. Yes. We can wrap right now. Do you guys have anything to say about Seton Hall to support our producer, Dagan Hughes? No, nothing. All right, listen. This has been a great episode of the Field of 68 After Dark. This was, I said it at the open, but this really did feel like the first day that it was college basketball season where you had to have 3 screens up and every single one of those screens had something insane happening. Well, Kentucky-Louisville in the first half was happening. We had the end of Florida and the end of Michigan's wins. And that's all I want. That's all I want in the entire world is to have too many good college basketball games and not enough screens to be able to watch them all. So we're back, baby. College basketball season is back. 4, Mike LaTulip, who's going to go and pop some bottles, rip some shots, and celebrate Illinois' wins. 4, Jeff Goodman, who has already been popping bottles and already been ripping shots and already been hammering mango carts. My name is Rob Dauster.
A couple mango carts in, baby.
Thursday night, we will be back. 11 o'clock, actually probably earlier. 9:30 p.m., right at the buzzer of Alabama, Purdue. We'll be back next episode, Field of 68 After Dark.